Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Soma Sports Broadcast. I am Benny and I'm here with
Patrick,
Philip, Brandon.
And today let's get started with recapping Soma Sports Varsity basketball, and starting off on January 6th, Somas took on Rye, who they beat in varsity football in the Section 1 championship. However, the Rye squad showed up that day and wound up taking it 60-43, and the Tuskers fall to 2-6 there. Santor had 13 points in that game, Spano with 7, O'Brien with 7, and Decker and Kemming with 6.
Unfortunately, the Tuskers did lose again the following 2 days right after. They lost 80-65 in an actually pretty solid Roosevelt squad. Santor with around 18 points, Quinones with around 16 points, and Decker with 12.
2 days after, the Tuskers lost to a solid Peekskill team, 70-59. Santori with 18, Spano with 10, Decker and Quinones with 8, O'Brien with 7, and Kaimig with 6.
And yesterday, as the time recording, January 16th, Somers lost to Lakeland 59-58 right at the end with a three-pointer from the corner.
So next up, we are on to the NFL wild card round recaps, and we had a lot of good games. Brandon, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I've got the Texans and the Chargers. The Texans won 32-12 in this game. C.J. Stroud led the offense with 282 passing yards and a touchdown, while the defense forced 4 interceptions from Justin Herbert, who only had 3 interceptions during the regular season. This victory advanced the Texans to the division round, and they will face the Kansas City Chiefs. And then next up, we have the Ravens beating the Steelers 28-14. Lamar Jackson completed 16 of 21 passes for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, adding 81 rushing yards. Derrick Henry also set a franchise record in the postseason with 186 rushing yards to 2 touchdowns. Ravens defense held strong, limited the Steelers to 2 second-half touchdowns, and Baltimore will advance to the division round.
All right, next up, the Bills have beaten the Broncos 31-7. Broncos took an early 7-0 lead, but then it was just complete Bills domination. It was 31-7. Amazing defense by the Buffalo Bills, going on to the divisional round to face the 3-seed Baltimore Ravens.
All right, next up, we have the game which I streamed and called last weekend on the Soma Sports Broadcast. Thank you for those who watched, and I'll get back to a few more games that we'll be doing this weekend. So the Packers took on the Eagles, a 2-7 matchup. Last year the Packers were also the 7th seed, and they just dominated against the Cowboys. Will they do it again? But this time, the first play of the game, it was just bad for the Packers out of the gate. It was a kickoff return fumble, which gave the Eagles great field position where they went down for a touchdown to go up 7-0 very early. However, that was basically it for the first half, as the Eagles only added 3 more points onto the score, getting a field goal before halftime, and the score was 10-0 Eagles. In the third quarter, the Packers had a nice drive with Jordan Love leading them down the field. However, when it was an attempted catch for a touchdown for Romeo Doubs, he didn't catch it, and then he couldn't get up because he got injured, and that, I think, personally distracted the Packers a bit, and they wound up settling for a field goal. On the drive after that, the Eagles drive right down and get an easy touchdown to make it a 16-3 game. It's looking pretty good for the Eagles. Packers have to score on this drive, and they do just that as Josh Jacobs runs it in for the touchdown to make it a 6-point game, 16-10. Eagles still lead. However, on the next drive, the Eagles get a field goal to make it a 2-score game again. It's a must-score drive for the Packers, but the Eagles' defense is able to hold them off. Eagles get another field goal eventually, and the Eagles take this one 22-10. And then one game that I'd say probably the most excitingest game of the week, and of course the game I had to fall asleep for, it's the Bucks and the Commanders, and after the Bucks took a 3-0 lead, it was Jaden Daniels who threw the ball to Brown for a touchdown to go up 7-3. What a drive by Jaden Daniels. And then right before halftime, they got a field goal to make it 10-3. So now the Commanders are up 10-3, and right before halftime, Mayfield throws it to Mike Evans for an amazing touchdown to tie the game at 10. And then now we're in the third quarter. Late in the third quarter, Bucky Irving runs it into the end zone, and now the Bucks go up 17-13. Commanders at a field goal before that. After that, the Commanders answer right back with Terry McLaurin followed by a Bucks field goal, and we got the game tied at 20. However, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders still have time to get the ball down the field. They easily get into field goal range for the game-winning field goal with 2 seconds left. The kick goes up, hits the upright, and bounces in on a doink kick. And the Commanders upset the Buccaneers 23-20.
Now on to our last wild card game, the Vikings-Rams. The Rams take this 27-9. Game started off with the Rams driving right down the field for a touchdown. After that, it was just pure Rams domination. It was 24-3. Third quarter, the Vikings were able to start making a comeback, scoring a touchdown, but unable to make the 2-point conversion. After that, the Rams D did what they needed to do on each drive, where the Rams took the win, and Sam Darnold got sacked 9 times that game. An amazing job by that Rams defensive line.
So now going back to that game, it just did not look good for Sam Darnold at the end of the season after playing amazing football. I want to know what you guys think, and I'll start first. What's going to happen to Sam Darnold next? And I think what he should do and what should happen, but I have a bad feeling it may not, is he should stay with the Vikings at least on a 1-year contract, so the Vikings could see if he's for real. And then after that, if he is, then sign him to a huge deal.
Yeah, I think he should stay with the Vikings as well. He's turning out to be a nice quarterback. Philip?
I think J.J. McCarthy should stay and start instead of Sam Darnold. I think they should trade him away. Only reason I really think that, Sam Darnold's he's beaten a couple good teams, but I feel like he's only beating up on bad teams. And then he just lost in the wild card. So I think they should start J.J. McCarthy, trade Sam Darnold away, and see his potential.
Next up, we have exciting college football playoffs going on, and just recapping the 2-game battles to get into the championship. We have the 6th seed of Penn State taking on Notre Dame, and both teams were able to keep it close and able to answer each other's scores. And with tied at 24 with 40 seconds left, the QB of Penn State throws an interception, which sets up a game-winning field goal for Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame kicks the game-winning field goal to win 27-24 in a stunner for Penn State. And then Ohio State versus Texas. This was an exciting matchup, at least for the beginning. So both teams were able to keep it close, getting 2 touchdowns. It was tied at 14. And Ohio State takes a 21-14 lead, and Texas is driving down the field, trying to answer right back, and then number 33 on the defense knocks the ball out of Quinn Ewers' hands and picks it up for Ohio State, and he runs it back and gets the touchdown to steal it for Ohio State, where they wind up winning it 28-14. So now we have Ohio State taking on Notre Dame in the college football championship, and I want to know from you guys, who do you see taking it all? And I'll just start off. So I think it's going to be Ohio State. Notre Dame is a good team too. They've been very impressive, but in this matchup, I think it's Ohio State who's played better, and I think it's going to be Ohio State who takes this one not as a close game, 31-14.
I've got to go in quite the opposite. I think this will be a close game. I got my final score being 35-34. Coming down to the last few drives, I think Notre Dame is going to take the win. Philip?
I agree with Benny. I think I'm going to take Ohio State on this one. I feel like overall they're the better team. And I don't know, that's just something about that Ohio State team, very dominant.
Alright, so today we're here at Somers Varsity Basketball head coach, Coach James. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And the first question I have for you is, what inspired you to become a basketball coach?
I think it stems from having a lot of great coaches back when I played, coming from youth to CYO to AAU to high school. I think seeing a lot of the great coaches that I had and the mindset that they had given me it definitely inspired me to be the coach I am today.
All right. And how did you work up to where you are now as a coach?
It's been a long Definitely a long journey. I started as a CYO basketball coach in St. James of Carmel, and kind of worked my way up. I was coaching there even when I was playing at Carmel, so I would leave practice to go to another practice to coach. And then shortly after that, I was a volunteer assistant at Carmel High School, where I played, and I was there for about 6 years. I was a assistant varsity coach, and then my final 2 years there, I was a head JV coach as well. And then after that, kind of just worked my way up to becoming and doing my job as becoming a head varsity coach. So that's where I'm at today.
All right. Very cool. So you started to tell us a little bit about that already, but what is your background in the sport of basketball?
Yeah, I played. So I grew up in Carmel. I had two older brothers who went through the Carmel system and played for Carmel basketball. I did my time there as well. I was a 3-year starter there at Carmel. Ended up graduating from Carmel and having an opportunity to be on staff right away, which was great for me. So that was where kind of my coaching career kind of took off, and I'm grateful for it because I played there and I was comfortable there, and it definitely was a place to give back to since it was my community as well.
Yeah, most definitely. So how do you strategize your team for each game?
It's different each game. We have the same mindset. It's from any team I coach, it's the same mindset of making sure these guys know that we can win this game. But we strategize based on our opponent, depending on what we kind of want to play and the style we want to play. Every team that we go up against is different. So the strategy behind it changes almost week to week, game by game. But stays a similar mindset of playing defense and how effective we can play defense and the ability to score the basketball. So, it kind of stays similar, but it changes a little bit when you play different types of programs and different types of teams.
And then what about coaching do you enjoy the most?
I think the most enjoyable thing is, building relationships with the kids and the players. I think seeing the growth of the beginning of a season where you're first meeting a brand new team basically, and kind of growing with them and seeing your relationship grow with different types of kids and learning how they are outside of basketball itself. I think that's what I pride myself in a lot, is just getting to know these kids a little bit more outside of the basketball court, and finding ways to connect with them a little bit more than just basketball itself.
All right. So before you came to Somers, start telling us a little already, but before you came to Somers, what coaching positions did you have and where?
Yeah, so my coaching resume, I guess, is I started at Carmel, obviously, as a volunteer assistant, worked my way up to being a assistant varsity coach, and then worked my way up to becoming a 2-year JV basketball coach. After that, I had left to take a job at Ketchum. So this is in Wappingers, New York. Great experience for me because it was a different atmosphere. It kind of pushed me and challenged me to be a better person, better coach. I was there for a year on staff as a varsity assistant coach, and then I was there for a head JV basketball coach as well. Soon after, I had gotten a phys ed job at Kennedy Catholic right down the road from here, and spent a year there as a head coach. Their head coach had left a couple weeks before the season started. I wasn't really prepared to be a head coach. I was actually signed on to be back at Ketchum that year, and my AD at the time gave me an opportunity to be a head coach there. It was challenging. The Catholic League is very different than the public league, but it pushed me again. It just challenged me to be a better coach and to think outside the box a little bit. But after a year, I had gotten an opportunity to interview here, and grateful I'm still here for year 2.
All right. So how would you describe your coaching style, and how does it affect the team's mission and culture?
So I'm a coach that is intense, I would say. It's a lot of accountability, and I think that's, I had a recent conversation with somebody about just teaching accountability more and more, because that's what life brings a little bit. You'll never see me silent, quiet. It's a very active coaching style, but it's a style where I want these kids to know what passion kind of looks like. When you throw on a jersey, it should mean a lot more. And for me, it's when I throw on my coaching shirts, that's the passion for it. So, hopefully it builds the culture, and I've seen it kind of take a change a little bit for the better. But it's for sure just allowing these kids to push themselves to a different level and getting to their ceiling, which I don't know if a lot of these kids know what their ceiling is yet, but challenging them to get there and be part of that for sure.
All right, so like during games and practice, how do you keep your athletes engaged and motivated?
It's a lot about challenging them. Like we've been in certain situations this year, and our record doesn't really show it, but we've been in situations where we're down at halftime a little bit, and it's, going into halftime is just challenging kids to play at a different level and play at a different kind of pace and speed, and they've learned to come out and challenge themselves and come back into games a little bit. So that's kind of what our practices have been like too. It's just allowing them the practices to be a little bit harder than the games. It's just to challenge them in those situations. So, we like to push these guys a little bit and just get ways to bring out the best in them that they don't think they had. So to definitely challenge them more.
All right. And so I see that you have a role in the New York Basketball Academy. Could you tell me a little bit about what you do there?
Yeah, so this is, we're going on year 2, actually. This is my business. I own it. We started it 2 years ago just to kind of create a travel basketball program for all ages. We go from ages or grades, 2nd grade to 12th grade. So we started at 4 teams my first year, and then going into my 2nd year now is we're growing to 13, 14 teams. So it's grown. Just allows people to find a safe space in basketball. We travel a lot. Our serious higher level teams travel all over the place on the East Coast, but we definitely have built something special around the area to have kids enjoy the game, the sport, but also get them a little bit of exposure in the college level as well.
All right. And so, like when a new player joins the team, how do you decide what position works best for the player? When they're trying to decide.
It's kind of a lot about watching how they play. My old head coach used to tell me that he could tell what a player is, where he plays, the minute he starts to warm up and picks up a basketball. So I've gotten an eye of kind of where kids will fit and what's going to suit them best. But also, I tell kids all the time, like, we have an open door type of policy where if they feel uncomfortable in a position that we're playing them at and they want to kind of switch that up or talk to us about that, we allow those conversations to happen. We want, again, the key to high school sports and any sport, it's just allowing these kids to be in the best position that they feel comfortable in, right? So we might think as a coaching staff a kid might fit a certain position, but meanwhile the kid isn't really comfortable there. So allowing them to have those conversations with us is kind of the best that we have figured out to try to get these kids in the best situations possible.
All right. And is there a certain basketball coach that you look up to, and if so, why?
So if anybody knows me, it's I'm a huge UConn basketball fan. So Dan Hurley has definitely been somebody I look up to. His intensity is consistent throughout every single game, and if you watch him, he just coaches extremely hard, and he holds his kids accountable extremely tough. But he also loves on them very hard. So it's allowing, and players have trusted him enough to coach hard, right? Accept the hard coaching, but also at the end of the game, you'll see that he hugs his players, loves on his players. So it's somebody that I definitely look up to and hope to model to the best of my ability for sure.
All right. And is there a certain NBA team that you root for?
I'm a New York Knicks fan, a diehard. So I've been following for 28 years now. So that's my team, and I'm hoping for a championship soon.
And then to end things off, what is your most proudest moment as a coach?
It's a tough one. There's a lot of proud moments, I would say. I think just getting the ability to coach different types of kids is one of my most proudest moments. But I think I in my time here at Somer so far, I think one of the proudest is last year we honored a kid that had torn his ACL during the football season. Again, one of the Hauser brothers, and in one of the games it was us versus John Jay Cross River, and we allowed him to score the first bucket. Just to end his time here, and as a senior, it's always hard to kind of go through an injury, but just to see the moment and to see his parents in the crowd get emotional a little bit, and just to see him and his brother spend that time, one final time on the floor together, I think that was definitely a great moment for us as well here.
All right, that's nice. All right, well, thank you for coming in today.
Of course, thank you for having me. I appreciate all you do.
All right, so next up we are on to NFL divisional round predictions, and we're going to get started off with Chiefs-Texans. In this game, I'm going to be calling this game with a friend of mine, not on the Soma Sports broadcast. Check out BTB Sports. We'll be streaming it off of there. I'll include a link in the channel's discussion area. But let's get started. This is a rematch of a few weeks ago where the Chiefs took the win there. And I think the Texans are going to play the Chiefs tough in the first half. I think there's one way that the Texans could play tough, and that's because Texans have been playing. The Chiefs have had 2 weeks off, basically, and it may be a rough start for the Chiefs, and the Texans paid a lot for this game. They may be able to compete, but I still see the Chiefs pulling away, eventually taking this one 27-13.
On the other hand, I think the rest is going to help the Chiefs. So I think Chiefs, it's going to be close, but the Chiefs are going to win 28-21, as the Chiefs have a habit of only winning by 1 to 2 scores. I think that trend is going to continue as they progress through the playoffs.
I also have the Chiefs winning, just like Benny and Brandon said. Chiefs are very, very dominant. Did not do too good in the regular season. Yes, their record's really, really good, but they haven't really been dominant. But I do have them winning 24-21. I think C.J. Stroud's passing game is not going to be too good, but I think Joe Mixon's going to have a day.
All right, and then next up we now have the Commanders and the Lions.
I got the Lions 38-24. I just don't really see the Commanders doing too well in this game. I think the Lions are going to cruise right through.
Yeah, and I see basically the same thing. I see the Commanders driving down, maybe getting a touchdown to start, but I think it's going to be Lions dominating after that. I think they'll at one point be up 28-10. I think the Commanders are going to make the score more close at the end, but I still see the Lions taking it 34-24.
I also have the Lions winning. The Commanders did prove good against the Bucs, but I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it's just way better in basically every position Lions team. So I have the Lions taking it 42-35.
And then next up we have the LA Rams taking on the Eagles, and this could be a good matchup. I could see either team winning, but I think it's going to be, last time these guys played was the Eagles that won 37-20. I think the Rams have improved a lot since then. I think they'll be able to keep up with the Eagles. I see this game tied at 27 going into overtime, and I think the Rams drive right down and get a touchdown. And I think after that it's going to be the Rams defense who is able to hold off the Eagles offense, and I think the Rams are going to take this one 34-27 in overtime.
Rams 24-20.
I have a little bit of not really an upset here. It could go either way. I have the Eagles taking this one. They're in Philadelphia. They have home field advantage. And I think Saquon, I know that Rams defensive line is really, really good, but I still think that Saquon and Jalen Hurts, their rushing ability and their upside is just amazing. So I have the Eagles taking it 35-28.
And then finally, our final game of the weekend, and we will be calling this game Sunday night at 6 p.m. is when it starts. Tune into that. Actually, I believe this will be coming out after we record that, so for those who watch, thank you. But we have the Ravens and the Bills, and this is going to be a good game. Battle of two MVPs, which it's really hard to debate who's going to take the MVP out of those two, Lamar, Allen. But Brandon, do you want to start off?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great matchup between two great teams, two great quarterbacks. But I think this is the Bills' year, and the Bills are going to win 28-24.
I also believe the Bills are going to win. I'm pretty biased because I'm also a Bills fan. I've been a Bills fan. But this Bills team, I think Josh Allen's going to put the team on his back once again, having to carry this whole team. I know they're not going to be too good against the running. The rush, obviously, with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, both the best rushing team we've seen in a while. But I think the Bills' defense might be able to hold up, and Josh Allen's going to put this team on his back. Bills winning 35-32.
All right, and I see it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a lot of defense in the first half. I think it'll be 3-3, and the Ravens get a late touchdown before heading into halftime. So 10-3 at half. But I think the Bills march right out, tie it up, and it's going to be a close game. I think in the second half there's going to be more scoring, more of a touchdown battle, and I think tied at 24, it's going to be whoever in this game has the ball last. and I think it's going to be the Bills who are able to get down the field and kick the game-winning field goal as time expires, 27-24.
So now we're going to predict the rest of the playoffs after these rounds. We're going to continue going using our predictions for the division round. So I'll start us off here. I have the Bills beating the Chiefs, the Lions beating the Rams, and then in the Super Bowl, the Bills beating the Lions.
All right, and I got Chiefs over the Bills. As much as I want to see the Bills doing it, I just think Chiefs playing better now, and they'll be able to get it done. The Lions I see winning over the Rams, and the Super Bowl, I think this is when the Chiefs streak finally ends, and the Lions are going to take the Super Bowl over the Chiefs.
I have the Bills over the Chiefs in an upset. I have the Lions over the Eagles. And then in the Super Bowl 2025 champion, I do have the Bills over the Lions.
All right, so next up, we're now on to Patrick for his F1 segment for this week.
So, the 2024 F1 season ended up with 3-time World Driver Championship winning Max Verstappen, claiming his 4th title in a row since 2021, continuing the dominance of Red Bull Racing. And the team that won the Constructors' Championship was McLaren, ending their 26-year-long wait to win this championship. As for the driver standings from 1st to 3rd, we have Max Verstappen at the top with 437 points, Lando Norris in 2nd with 374 points, and Charles Leclerc in 3rd with 356 points. The team standings from 1st to 3rd place, we have McLaren in 1st with 666 points, Ferrari in 2nd with 652 points, and Red Bull in 3rd with 589.
Very cool. Patrick, I want to know, who do you see taking the F1 season next year?
Being brutally honest, I think it's going to be Max Verstappen again. I mean, it was a bit closer last year than previous ones, but Red Bull is still ahead in technology. McLaren's cutting it really, really close, but still Max is just going to take the win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Lando Norris. I know that may surprise some of you. It's not Verstappen, but I think he's got what it takes, and Norris was able to compete with Verstappen toward parts of last year, and I think he should be able to more so this year. And it's going to be a close battle between those two, but I see Norris taking it as an upset.
Yeah, I've got Max Verstappen as well. Agreeing with Patrick here.
I'm also agreeing with Patrick. I'm not too big on racing, but I know that he's a really, really good racer, really talented, great reaction time, so I'm going to go with Max also.
So next up, based on the teams left in the playoffs, I want to know from each of you, what 2 Super Bowl matchups do you want to see the most, and what 2 Super Bowl matchups do you not want to see at all? I'll start off, and I think the one I really want to see is Lions-Bills. This is the number 1 Super Bowl. It would be very exciting, and a rematch of a game where the Bills won 48-42. Just 2 amazing teams, 2 teams I like to root for. So many reasons. I would love to see that as Super Bowl. And the second one I have is Bills-Eagles. It would just be an exciting game overall. I think the teams are pretty evenly matched. I don't think they played at all this year, and it would be an exciting game as well.
Then I think, agreeing with Benny here, I want to see Lions-Bills in the Super Bowl. I do also believe that is the matchup we're going to get based on predictions. And then I would also like to see Ravens against the Lions.
Finally for me, I think everybody wants to see this. Obviously, I think it's one of our consensus overall pick to see the Bills and the Lions. And if that's not the case, then I'd like to see the Bills and the Eagles. I don't really want to see the Eagles make the Super Bowl. But if they do win that game, then I'd love to see that game. I'd love to see the Bills-Eagles.
And now, what Super Bowls do you not want to see, Brandon?
Personally, I just really don't want to see the Chiefs here at all. So Rams-Chiefs, I don't want to see that. I feel like that would be a really good game for the Chiefs and a really bad game for the Rams. The Rams are a good team, don't get me wrong, but I think the Chiefs are just better. And I think the Chiefs are going to lose earlier to the Bills. And then I also would not like to see the Chiefs-Eagles. Eagles, a few episodes ago, were listed as my playoff pretenders. So I would not like to see that matchup.
I don't want to see the Chiefs. I know it's really, I don't know really what else to say. I don't really want to see the Chiefs or Ravens in the Super Bowl too much. much. I don't really want to see like a Chiefs-Eagles game. We just saw that 2 years ago. It was pretty decent, but I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to see the Chiefs. I also don't really want to see Chiefs-Rams. I'd love to see Matt Stafford get another ring and Sean McVay, but I'm not too sure if I want to see that.
Alright, and then I got first one, Chiefs Eagles. We already saw this matchup 2 years ago, and just two teams I don't really like as much. They're up there to like my most hated teams, with the Cowboys and Giants, and I just want to see new teams make it, not the same teams every year. And then I also have Chiefs Commanders, and that's because the Chiefs are just a much better team, and it would probably be a boring game dominated by the Chiefs. So this year we saw multiple teams make the NFL playoffs that didn't make it last year. What teams that do you think that didn't make the playoffs this year could possibly make it next year? And I'll go first. I got the Bengals. I'm going to say 3 teams here. The Bengals, and it's because they're just an amazing team that just has been unlucky, and I think they're just like a good defense away from being potentially like a top seed in the AFC. Next team I'm going with is the 49ers, and that's just obvious reasons. They just had a lot of injuries this year, and all the players will be back next year, and they should play a lot better. And then my final team is the New England Patriots. I think Vrabel coming in as head coach and make some moves, readjusting the offense and signing some free agents. The Patriots, led by Drake May, I think could easily be fighting for a wild card position next year.
I think the 49ers are going to be back next year. They've been contenders in recent years, and I think they're going to be back next year. They're out of it this year, but almost there. Just got to work on some things, stay healthy, and they should be right back in it next year.
Kind of have similar to Benny. I do have the Bengals making it. I think all they need to do is work on that defense. They have a great quarterback and receiver duo, I think best in the league right now. Amazing passing attack. Joe Burrow can basically do anything. Jamar Chase, him and Justin Jefferson are 1A, 1B for the best receivers in the NFL. And I also do have, same as Benny, I do have the 49ers being able to make the playoffs. I think with Christian McCaffrey back, getting all this stuff sorted out with Deebo Samuel, because obviously he's kind of falling off. I don't know what. Maybe draft some trade potential I can get. But I have the Bengals and the 49ers making it this year.
Alright, so next up I'm going to be doing my NBA power rankings. And I'm doing top 5. And I'm going to get started off with number 5. And this is a team that I think the record doesn't show that they're as good as they are. But after starting off bad, the Milwaukee Bucks have been playing great basketball. They went on to win the in-season tournament. Just a team to look out for, and I think it's going to be a threat when the playoffs come around. At number 4, the New York Knicks. The Knicks, they've been able to get it done and get the wins. Number 4, we have the Knicks, and I think it's a well-rounded team. I think very similar to their team last year, and if they keep playing how they're playing, they're probably going to be like one of the top teams, possibly making it very far in the playoffs. But at number 3, I have my Boston Celtics. And number 3, we've been losing a bit lately, not as consistent as we were in the beginning of the year and last year, but it's just a bad drought for the Celtics. A few injuries, haven't been following it that much, but what I've seen, there's been a few injuries, and I think when those players come back and as the season goes on, the Celtics are going to put it together. They're going to wind up getting at least 60 wins, I think. At number 2, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers, and yeah, they've just been able to win games. It's been very impressive, led by Donovan Mitchell. Cavs are a team to be reckoned with. And at number 1, it was the Thunder. As of recording this today, today is January 17th. The Thunder beat the Cavs just last night, and I think the Thunder are the team to look out for as of now in the NBA. So those are my January 17th NBA power rankings. Alright, and finally, before we go, let's get to the NBA. If the season ended today, who do you see, based on the playoffs, who do you see taking it all based on the season today? And I'll go first. I got, no surprise, the Celtics. I know they haven't been playing the best as of late, but I think that they'll be able to figure it out as playoff time comes around and will get it done.
I think right now it's going to be the Thunder.
I don't watch too much NBA, but since from New York, I'm going to go with the New York Knicks. I'm not too sure if they're too good. I think they are.
They're doing all right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go.
Doing pretty good.
With the Knicks. I've always been a Knicks fan. My dad's a Knicks fan. Whole family is.
We are the Soma Sports Broadcasting Club.
We'll see you next week.
Iglesias. Hand off to Kelly. Looked like a fake keeper there. Hope gets a first down. So 1st and 10 for the Tuskers.
Kelly there rolled all the way to the left and made right past the first down line. And he was bumped out of bounds, just completely around the defense. Looks like Somers is using a lot of runs here today. And Whitesboro is not defending him.